Coming up on 5 Minute News. Baltimore shooting leaves 2 dead and a dozen children injured. Supreme Court's gay rights ruling case was a fabrication. And British police have new powers to prevent free protest. It's Monday, July 3. I'm Anthony Davis. Gunfire erupted at a block party in Baltimore on Sunday, killing 2 people, wounding 28, and leaving an extensive crime scene that marred the US holiday weekend. 3 of the wounded were in critical condition, and more than a dozen were under the age of 18. The shooting took place just after 12:30 a.m. when at least 2 people opened fire at a block party in the Brooklyn Homes area in the southern part of the city, said Richard Worley, Baltimore's acting police commissioner. No arrests had been made by late afternoon. It wasn't clear if the shooting was targeted or random, Worley said. The shooting comes amid gatherings around the country leading up to the 4th of July holiday. Elsewhere, a shooting in Kansas left 7 people with gunshot wounds and 2 more victims hospitalized after being trampled as people rushed out of a nightclub early on Sunday morning. The violence in Baltimore occurred as federal prosecutors there this week touted their efforts to reduce violent crime in the city. Police have reported nearly 130 homicides and close to 300 shootings so far this year, though that's down from the same time last year. Authorities have vowed to crack down aggressively on repeat violent offenders. 9 of Sunday's victims were taken by ambulance and 20 walked into area hospitals with injuries from the shooting. 9 remained hospitalized on Sunday afternoon. Governor Wes Moore said his heart breaks for these victims, their families, and the Baltimore community that is coping with the loss. A Colorado web designer whom the U.S. Supreme Court ruled on Friday could refuse to make wedding websites for gay couples cited a request from a man who says he never asked to work with her. The request in dispute from a person identified as Stewart wasn't the basis for the federal lawsuit filed preemptively 7 years ago by web designer Lorie Smith before she started making wedding websites. But as the case advanced, it was referenced by her attorneys when lawyers for the state of Colorado pressed Smith on whether she had sufficient grounds to sue. The revelation distracts from Smith's victory at a time when she might have been basking in her win, which is widely considered a setback for gay rights. Smith named Stewart and included a website service request from him, listing his phone number and email address in 2017 court documents. But Stewart said he never submitted the request and didn't know his name was invoked in the lawsuit until he was contacted this week by a reporter from the New Republic, which first reported his denial. He added that he was a designer and could design my own website if I need to, and was concerned no one had checked into the validity of the request cited by Smith until recently. Smith's lawyer said that a Friday news conference at the wedding request naming Stewart was submitted through Smith's website and denied it was fabricated. Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser on Friday called the lawsuit a made-up case because Smith wasn't offering website services when the suit was filed. Weiser didn't know the specifics of Stewart's denial, but said the nation's high court should not have addressed the lawsuit's merits without any basis in reality. Smith's Supreme Court filings briefly mention she received at least one request to create a website celebrating the wedding of a same-sex couple. There did not appear to be any reference to the issue in the court's decision. New and expanded powers for British police took effect on Sunday, including measures targeting activists who stopped traffic and major building works with protests. Authorities have repeatedly condemned environmental protest groups, including Just Stop Oil and Extinction Rebellion, which have sought to raise awareness about the urgency of climate change by staging multiple high-profile protests at the busiest highways and roads. From Sunday, police will have powers to move static protests. Critics have argued the toughened laws are a threat to the right to protest, but UK officials said the measures were to stop disruption from a selfish minority. The public have had enough of their lives being disrupted by selfish protesters. The mayhem we've seen on our streets has been a scandal, said far-right Home Secretary Suella Braverman of the ruling Conservative Party. Authorities say that under the new Public Order Act, protesters found guilty of tunnelling or digging underground tunnels to obstruct the building of new infrastructure works could face 3 years in prison. Anyone found guilty of obstructing a major transportation project could be jailed for up to 6 months. The law also makes locking on or protesters attaching themselves to other people, objects or buildings a criminal offence. Hundreds of climate change protesters were arrested last year in the UK for blocking major roads and bridges. Many activists protested by sitting in the middle of the roads or gluing themselves to the roadway to make them harder to move. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.